Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, can you just quickly actually I can do it. Never mind. Just gonna put the I was just gonna put the link in Discord just so we're live. Yeah.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the LTA Report. Quick announcements as usual. Join our Discord. That's where we're going to be taking the questions. We're going to be reading some questions. We might actually seep some of them in throughout the discussions because we kind of already saw them. But yeah, join the LTA Discord, LTA Report Discord, and the LTA Discord if you want. But yeah, that link will always be in the bio, so you can always see that. And also, we have a TikTok channel, so follow us there. And our Twitters. That's the Discord is probably the best place you can reach us out, but I know Twitter is like a whole community and whatnot. But we can start off with what happened on Twitter the other day, or well, like blew up on Reddit and on Twitter. Bwipo happened. There's been a lot that's been said. The TLDR, for those who like haven't been aware, is he made some sexist comments, and it seemed like those sexist comments were he didn't realize they were sexist. He was this isn't defending him or anything. This is like what it seems like the situation is, right? Just like the TLDR. Basically, he was like, it's very difficult for women to be competitive League of Legends players. Someone asked him the question about why, like, what are some challenges for women in esports? And it started off fine, and then it kind of turned into a thing of like, oh, because women have periods, they can't compete. That's like the TLDR. A lot of people have commented on what he said. It blew up on Reddit, then it went on Twitter, and FlyQuest issued a statement. And in their statement, two very important things happened. I think people are kind of forgetting the second one. But one, he was suspended for one LTA match, meaning the upper bracket finals between Vivo Cage and FlyQuest. Geckos will be starting. Bwipo is suspended for that matchup. He will not be playing, regardless of what happens during that series. And then the prize money that he wins is also going to be donated to a cause to help women in esports, or women in gaming, I think was the technical term that they used. That is a significant thing that people don't really recognize. Like the prize money, if I'm not mistaken, is like less than $100,000. But in this economy, like let's say what ends up coming to Bwipo is like $10,000 to $15,000. I would assume like that's a rough estimate. That's a serious fine. That's like a good percentage of his salary, that because of what he said. So I think that that's something people are just focused on the fact that he was suspended, but he is being fined. Especially it's most likely that FlyQuest is first. So those are the two things that happened. Bwipo then came out last night and apologized and said he didn't realize what he said was misogynistic, and that he's taking the steps to really learn and educate himself about the situation. I think it's like easy to say that Bwipo apologized. FlyQuest obviously said what they said. It's easy to think like, oh, how could Bwipo say this? They should have done more, or like, oh my god, he's being fined and he's being suspended. Isn't that too much? Like, he apologized, he was fined. Like, shouldn't he have an opportunity to learn? That's sort of the two, different sides that I've seen. And actually, in our questions, I think we'll start off with these questions in the podcast questions on the Discord. There's sort of two questions there that kind of like oppose each other. The first one's from Beans, who says the Bwipo punishment for FlyQuest is way too lenient and convenient in terms of their next game versus Vivo Cage or Vivo Cade. I don't know how to say in English, man. Being nearly meaningless. If this comes out before 100T FlyQuest game, do you think they'd issue the same punishment? Plus, do you feel like it's an appropriate penalty? And then the next question, or I guess a response from Chief Hippo 88 says, do we feel like Bwipo needs to be suspended for this? Am I delusional to feel like it isn't even suspension worthy? Aside from everything else that happened, does making a dumb comment should be suspended, especially compared to what we've seen in the Eastern from Eastern players? So there's been like, I've seen people trying to not necessarily defend Bwipo, but trying to say like, he was punished, what more do you want? Even this punishment's a lot, and people are like, this is not nearly serious. Like, he shouldn't even be allowed to play for Worlds if he doesn't improve. Like, he shouldn't be allowed to play in LTA like for the rest of the split. So I guess I'll get your thoughts first, Marn, on like the response, what Bwipo said, and then maybe we can talk about the punishment, because that seems to be like the whole community came together of like what Bwipo said was stupid and he needs to be punished for. Then when a punishment came, the community kind of split. I think the majority are like, this is not nearly like appropriate. You should do more to punish Bwipo. But then there are people who have come out publicly and said, hey, isn't that kind of extreme? Like, you're not giving him any opportunity to learn. So let me get your thoughts first.
I think firstly, why are we still having this problem in 2025 of gamers having no fucking idea of like the things they are saying? And like, we should not be having this viewpoint that biology determines your skill ability in a fucking video game. It's if we want to go on to the as I said that kind of my piece like yesterday. Really, like I don't believe the punishment was strict enough, and not to play devil's advocate, but I also feel like it's on Riot now to actually start enforcing and set an actual precedent for what these types of punishments can be, because I had a quick glance at like, the rulebook, and there wasn't really like any like key information on how like the length of punishment you can get. You can, for like these types of comments, can be either like a stadium ban or like one game ban or like fine or education, which it seems like FlyQuest side is that they're taking the like the one series ban and his prize earnings will be donated to a charity of their choice. I think like the community are outraged just because like it is a one series ban against not even an LTA North team where, okay, let's say you do lose because Gapkos, because he hasn't won a game in the 2 games he's played, right? He's looked really out of his depth. Has Gapkos won?
He won his first game, yes. Not because of him, but he won.
Okay, but like
he was getting gapped by Castle.
Understandably, he's played terribly in both games, and like there is a world where he could lose to Vivocade because from speaking to a couple of LTA South people, they're a pretty decent team. I'm not going to.
Oh, they're good.
Yeah, but
are good.
I'm not even going to sit here and admit like that I've watched any LTA South. So good luck to me trying to preview this this bracket stage later on. But it's like I personally think he should have, at the minimum, he should not be able to play in any of this cross-conference playoffs. But if I was doing a punishment, he would have been banned from playing Worlds this split, and then allowed to return to play next year.
See, I'm from the other side where I watch a lot of NBA, and in the NBA, besides very few situations that have caused like physical harm to people, you generally don't ban people, or if you do, it's like after multiple incidents or offenses. So if something like this were to happen in the NBA, my guess would be there might be a 1-game suspension. 1 series is kind of maybe. I don't think even it would be a series. Like it definitely would just be 1 game, and it would be like a hefty fine. And like the question is the fine like hefty? I think for this economy, like if this was what's it called, like 2020 or 2019, I'd be like, no, he should be fined more because it's like $10,000 is probably like maybe 1% of his salary, whereas now it might be closer to 10 to 20%. Like that is a big part of the incentive of him playing, of him like making it. And then the other thing is like if you're thinking about it as from a league perspective, if FlyQuest lose to Vivo and end up that basically what that means is like FlyQuest, the whole like 100 Thieves might end up, or like Shopify might end up going as 3rd seed instead of 2nd seed. That might like make it a lot more difficult going. Like it has tangible effects. So like the thing is like, oh, it doesn't affect very much. I do think it actually does. Now maybe FlyQuest are just that much better and that they're just going to go to the lower bracket and still win. Like, or maybe they win anyways with Gakkos. I don't know. Like obviously the future is yet to be written. But I think in terms of like punishing the player for what he did and enforcing the fact that he needs to learn, I think FlyQuest are taking it quite seriously. And if you look, like Parkmom works for them. They have Numi, they have Basil. Like I know they're not owned by Trisha, but like this is an org that was built with a lot of like women through women efforts. And I can't imagine Parkmom and Numi and Basil just sitting there as one of their players be like, oh, you guys can't do stuff. Like I tweeted this out. I'm like, why don't you try boxing a female boxer on her period? See how that works for you, Bwipo. But like one of the things that's being brought up is how do we turn this? Like, yes, Bwipo made some very bad comments. We don't want this to be a situation where people take those comments, those misogynistic comments, and use it as fuel to say, haha, you're a girl, you can't play, you can't compete, you can't do this, you can't do that. How do we take it from being that to, hey, Bwipo has learned and the community has like come together around saying, hey, these are the organizations that Bwipo's prize pool is going to. Maybe we can support these organizations to have like more women in esports. Maybe these are like certain things women can speak out. And maybe it's a little bit easier for them to speak out now because normally if they speak out, misogynistic men will kind of like fill their inboxes with hate. Maybe now it's a little bit easier for them to do that. I think when the question comes to like, how do we move forward and get a more positive outcome, I don't think stopping Bwipo from playing Worlds and is a positive outcome, because the idea is like you teach him and he improves and you punish him. And I think him not playing Worlds is more a punishment to FlyQuest and to NA League than it is to Bwipo, if that makes sense.
I think the only thing that... Oh,
again,
sorry. So you go.
I've actually asked a bunch of people on like what they think should be the situation. And like to Beans' question is like, if this was against 100 Thieves, if this was like the grand finals, would they have done this? I don't know. I would have hoped that they would. But at the end of the day, it's like,
it's hard to assume their intentions. Like, it'd be unfair to assume like what their intentions are.
Yeah, as someone who comes from the NBA side, like, and seeing like the findings that happen there, generally it's like, hey, you're fined. It's a significant amount of money. That as well as like, hey, we're gonna put you in a mandatory course for you to like realize what you're doing is wrong and like why it's wrong. Not just like, hey, you're wrong. It's like, hey, here are the things that you said, and this is why it's a misconception. This is why it's false. This is like, as long as you do that and Bwipo apologizes, and it's his first offense, which is like a very important thing, right? It's his first offense. Is like banning him for the rest of the year not extreme? I think that's what Chief Hippo side. I'm not on either side, to be honest. I kind of been going around asking people like what they think, because I really don't know. I'm not the arbiter of this, and like I'm just kind of, it's my first time doing this in the esports side and not the professional sports side,
So a couple of things the thing I'd say about the NBA point is that it is like a 90+ game season, and like say like I don't have the history of if this has happened in the NBA and they've done like fines mid playoffs, or like you're going to like a Eastern Conference Finals and something like this has happened. Does the NBA have a different approach to it than if it was like game 20 of the regular season?
I mean, in 2016 or 2016, the Warriors, who were the one of the most winningest organizations, had one of their best players. They had suspended for a game and they lost the finals because of that. Like, yes, it's changed the course. Like they obviously it's changed, but it's happened. Yeah.
Yeah. So my thing is, it does set a precedent though that you can say such vile things, and your punishment is you miss one best of 5, and it's hard for us to assume like what Riot's intention. Riot may come, like, we don't know at the time of recording. Riot hasn't said anything on it. They haven't issued their own punishment. They still could issue their own punishment, but at the moment, FlyQuest has opted into a 1 series thing. We can't just assume that they've done this because they don't want to lower their chances of winning. And the same thing with like Worlds. Like, yes, it would extremely suck for Busio and Masu inspired Quad if Bwipo's things like it is directly impacting them, but at the same time, I don't personally believe that core values should come secondary to like performance, in my opinion. I think Bwipo not being at Worlds sends a message to every player, and like, yes, Riot does need to crack down on like the East, because it's happening so much more in the East than like what we've experienced in the West thus far. At least on a pro player like level, like it's torrid and solo queue and everything like that. But it does set a precedent that you won't get away with this. And yes, even if it is the biggest event of the year, you're gonna get punished accordingly. And in my opinion, like Riot keeps like a tight ship on like how like their personal image. How does it look to like sponsors and investors that a player is openly allowed to say these things about women and then is allowed to compete in their tournament? Like that's how I'm viewing like the and like the same thing. This happened when the Eminez. Do you remember like
MNS,
the
yeah.
yeah, and like there was this debate of is Jojo Pyun gonna come in to save the day and play instead, and then it ended up Eminez basically getting a slap on the wrist and an apparent mandatory teaching, which to be honest he was bouncing out of the space afterwards anyway. So like, what did that really achieve? But with Bwipo, who still seemed to be active for next year, like I think this would send a real statement.
I'm gonna push you a little bit on that. Not disagreeing, but just playing a little bit of a devil's advocate. You're saying like he's getting away with it. He's get like if I'm a sponsor and someone does something bad like that, like if I'm in the NBA, right, and one of my players does that, I'm not gonna ban my NBA because the sponsor is like State Farm or Chase or whatever is going to see that player. It's the fact that that player was like, punished, right? And maybe we can argue, hey, your prize pool is not sufficient punishment. Maybe it should have been like 20% of your salary. I don't know, right? But I think the idea of like, hey, we don't want to see this player is not necessarily how sponsors see it. I think the like, yeah, I think the harm is done to the sponsors, and like the sponsors want to see that some sort of punishment and some sort of action was taken place. And again, if the correct thing is like, hey, Bwipo doesn't get to play Worlds, like maybe that is the correct thing. But like,
Yeah,
I don't necessarily know like when Riot or when FlyQuest is doing this investigation and they're like, okay, obviously it's going to set a very bad mood with like a lot of their employees because they have a lot of employees that are female and like one of their most prominent players who from all intents and purposes treated them well is now saying this stuff and like maybe he legitimately just doesn't know and he's being educated. Maybe he's just like misogynistic and never really showed it. Like who knows what the fact of the matter is, right? But it I don't necessarily think him not playing is going to set a better precedent
but the
because
problem
I
is,
really
oh
do
sorry,
think people don't remember like the damage that financial like findings do. Findings are not a slap to the wrist unless like FlyQuest pays it for them if it's from Riot, right? But it's like it's not. FlyQuest is forcing him to donate his prize money, his prize earnings. And maybe that's not enough. Maybe it has to be part of his salary, right? Because like prize earnings, you don't necessarily count on winning. But like when you're setting up your lifestyle, especially in an expensive place like LA, like that stuff matters.
in European football, it's the league that decides the punishment and not the teams. So like, if a player has done something, the league issues that ban. You're not allowed to play in this league, and then it's down to the team to decide their own internal punishment. So mainly, it's like a
That's how
deduct
it
of
is in NBA
wages.
as well. Yeah.
Yeah, but the problem is there is no precedent to set in. There's no like actual ruling on these things in League of Legends. Like it's always like it shouldn't be a case by case basis. Like there should be some sort of ruling on this that okay, if your player does this, that's it. Regardless of whether you agree with it or not, that's the ruling. Even if that plays into what, like let's say you missed the first two best of threes of Swiss stage, like that's the ruling. And like FlyQuest has to live with it, and then they have to do their own like sort of internal punishment. The problem is you're forcing FlyQuest to, and I'm not accusing them of putting it to their advantage, but it's so obvious when it comes out that he's only getting a one series ban that is immediately going to fly with a lot of people. And I personally think even giving them the opportunity, whether right or wrongly, to give a one series ban, I don't personally think it's enough. Like if people want to say like he can play worlds, like I disagree, but it's down to how people think. But in my opinion, he at least should have like he shouldn't be allowed to play in LTA playoffs.
I mean that's fair. Again, for me, like I more focus on the financial sense. Like you say, like what the NBA usually happens is the NBA will say, like the commissioner will come out and say, hey, this person is like, this is the punishment that the NBA is doing. And then the team will say, hey, we're also in addition to that, or they won't say anything. Like, for example, one of the things that players get fined for, or started getting fined for a lot, is talking about the referees. The officiating staff, like a lot of hate has been going towards them. And so they made it like if a player says anything bad about the refs, they're immediately fined. And so like that definitely has decreased the amount of players complaining about the referees. But it's something that comes from the league, and like the Golden State Warriors aren't going to fine Steph Curry if he talks about the refs. The league might, but the Golden State. But in a situation like this, like for example with Draymond Green, when what happened last year, or was it 2 years ago now? The league itself took an action, and the team itself also did a punishment. You could be right though. It could be FlyQuest just acted faster than what Riot did, so that they don't have to. They can basically set their own punishment, and Riot will feel like, okay, they took care of it. We don't have to do anything. Or if we do, we're just going to corroborate what they say. That could be a strategy that FlyQuest is taking. Is like, hey, we don't know what Riot's going to do. Maybe Riot just suspends Bwipo for the rest of the year, right? We don't think that's an appropriate punishment. For us, we think maybe this is like fining him is a better punishment than suspending him. Right? We're still going to suspend him one week, right? But at the end of the day, like we're going to fine him. Maybe that's where they think is better. And who knows? At the end of the day, I think we kind of beat this topic to death.
Yeah, I agree.
Now we can talk about FlyQuest winning a championship. I am so upset. The fact, not because FlyQuest won, like forget that. The fact that they won a championship, like, okay. If FlyQuest won a championship, then 100 Thieves won Split 1. That's all I'm going to say, because at the end of the day, 100 Thieves were a first seed going into cross-regional play, right? Same thing here. FlyQuest get to be our first seed going into cross-regional play. But why do they get to be champions? And okay, so what about the winner who wins in Dallas in front of the crowd, in the stadium? That person doesn't get a championship. Or do they get 2 championships? Do they get 2 championships within 3 weeks? Is that how it works? Like, what is this? Why are we giving them a championship? I know the answer to it. Like, I'll tell you what the answer is. It's because they wanted South to get a championship. So CBLOL, technically, because NA is better, they don't get a championship Split 1, right? Split 2 they do, but then Split 3, if we only get them to have one champion, maybe they don't want that. They want to give them 2 instead of 1. So sure, but like this is just ridiculous. I didn't even realize we were playing for a title. Like when there was a trophy, I was like, what? What? Why is there a trophy? Like what? I mean, I'm just flabbergasted. Like if they, yeah.
I feel like we're gonna be like definitely both playing devil's advocate tonight. I don't mind them having a championship. The problem I have is if there's 0 build up, and if you look how the way the FlyQuest players celebrated, what's the purpose of this championship? Like if you look at the way the LTA South did, because when I was getting like images for potential thumbnails, they were going mad. The Wonder players had his freaking show off.
They're jungler, yeah.
Yeah. So like, I don't mind, and I don't think this is going to be a problem next year, because I genuinely believe they're going to go to the LCS, and then you can historical records can say you have an LCS champion and then you have an LTA champion, because then you're technically saying the LTA championship has the bigger weight because it's going to be in a bigger venue, and the LCS is going to be much smaller. You're probably going to be in shooters again, and it just it's easier on the eye for like historical records that you've won you're the LCS champion, and now you have to go and compete for the LTA championship, even though it's technically easier than winning the LCS. Yeah.
Yeah, I felt that it was very, very strange. I understand why they did it, but I just think like, look, if you want to merge the regions, like stop having this like half-assed approach. Either you do the thing where we have LCS and CBLOL, and then at the end of the year they get to play Split 1, Split 3. We get to play and we figure out who the LTA champion is.
Yep.
or just like you can do that, but don't call us LTA North, LTA South, but then you have LTA North champion, LTA South champion. Like I don't know. I really felt very frustrated the fact that this was like finals weekend, especially because wasn't this called the LTA knockout stage?
I thought it was the
Why are we calling it
elimination
knockout stage
elimination
or
stage.
elimination? Yeah, why are we calling it elimination stage, not championship or playoffs? Like, why did we give it a different name? Why is it not called playoffs? If it's elimination, elimination for what? Elimination for the teams that don't get to go to the LTA championship. So that if it's his own tournament, don't it's just so confusing. Like I knew this was going to happen. I knew the fact that we were going to have our first seed, but I thought all of this was feeding into the big tournament. I didn't realize this was a championship. It felt very weird. I am not a fan of this format. I I'm very frustrated with the LTA this year. I've said this before, but like 2024 spring to summer, the changes were amazing. I loved what Mark Z pushed. I loved what the entire team was trying to do with the LTA. The vibes were great. I will dominate, like who people consider a relatively negative guy, was like super excited. He would way rather watch LCS than EU, which wasn't the case like the split before. Like people were really up and up regardless of our performance. People were very hyped with North America and the content and the vibe and like everything. And then coming into 2025, we completely dropped the ball. And like it feels like we're just getting worse. It feels like we just care less and less, or like we're doing less. It feels like things are tied through like shoelaces, our budgets, our content. Like I don't know. I've been very very frustrated. I love pros. I'm glad pros and the dive are there. We got rid of this or that. We got rid of so many different like content pieces. The shorts have been like scattered around. We haven't been having like extra things that we were getting last year with like Jat sitting down with Jensen and Inspired when they had that beef with APA and Jojo Pugh. Like we just haven't had that. We could have had that with Dokla, and imagine we had Dokla and Bwipo after Dokla went on stage like over a month ago and say like, oh yeah, I don't like FlyQuest because of what Bwipo said. I don't like Bwipo. He said it on pros like I think 4 weeks ago. They could have brought them before finals and like had them sit down and talk and like had an hour-long hype piece, but or like 20-minute hype piece. Like they're just not doing the same things they were doing last year, and I don't know why, because it was working. Even they admitted it was working.
Yep.
And now do we get any sort of communication? We don't. Why? Because there's nothing to communicate. Things are going bad. They're not doing well. The only communication we got was we changed the format for Split 2. Instead of it being a double round robin best of one, they made it a single round robin best of one into a like group stage, into playoffs. And then like obviously changing everything to fearless. But like I'm not happy with the way LCS is going. I wasn't happy with the way FlyQuest won a championship. Like the fact that Masu now has another title. Like, no, he doesn't. I'm sorry, but no, he doesn't. Like,
and that's the thing. Like, it should be though. Because in my opinion, you should have a LCS champion, and like I said, I'm hoping next year when they revert back to the LCS switch, I'm just gonna keep calling it up because I'm almost like 99% sure that they are gonna make that name change. Like I don't know where we go as a region.
I hope you're right.
I don't know where we go as a region if we come back next year and it's LTA North. But
they're gonna call it LOTA, League of the Americas.
Could you imagine if
you guys didn't like LTA, so we got an even better one.
Could you imagine if they imagine if they gave CB LOL their name, rebranded the whole region to Americas, and then we had LTA?
Please don't give them ideas. Please don't give them ideas. Please.
Would it surprise you? No, it would not.
What if we had AS and AN, America South and America North?
Oh, I can tell you that's ASS.
I like that.
The way else stand the buy now? Yes, same. I wish I could have like an LCS hoodie. You know, like I think it's like you never know what you have until you miss it.
Like, until you lose it, yeah.
Yeah, I should have got some LCS merch when I had the chance. This is kinda a point I'm gonna make when I try and hop on David's call show later. But this is the most like this is the least enjoyable I've felt as a fan watching North America this year, and I have a team that's been pretty competitive the whole year. That's crazy to think about. Like the formats feel like the splits feel like so like wonky. They don't feel smooth. Everything feels kind of rushed. Like the expansion into the closet has not been a helpful one. With like many including myself, like calling for this league to go online, just so we can like have potentially some better formats and at least have some more like continuity and
Not me.
smoothing. Not you, no, I know. Like honestly, I would snap the chance at have a finals in a venue every single split, but you're online the rest of the year. I'd take that in a heartbeat. But okay, like the question I'll ask you is, do you trust that the formats next year are going to be better? Like, if you had to put money on it,
Yes.
you think they'll be like across the board like better?
Yes. Maybe not split one, because I think split one has to stay the same because it's just 5 weeks and it's very difficult to like get a better format. So like split two and split three, I'm fairly confident will be better. Especially split three. I'm very confident will be better because it's very hard to mess up the way you did. Like I think split two was fine. Split three was just like exceptionally poor. And I'm pretty confident even Riot is like, man, we really dropped the ball on this one. But when we publicize it, we're gonna talk about how amazing it was and how we're moving to an even better one.
Which I don't know how you. But the thing is, I'm like, okay, this isn't our jobs to, but I'm struggling to think of how they can really improve like split one. I didn't really enjoy the split one format as it is. It's probably like like if you had to rank them, the second best, but I don't think that bar is very high to begin with.
Which is crazy.
Which isn't a very hard bar to high bar to begin with.
It's very difficult. Like here's the thing, I have a lot of empathy for the fact that there are budgetary constraints, there's time constraints, and there's like the number of games that they can play. The number of games, if we could increase the number of games in the same amount of time, we would have way better like formats. I'm pretty sure like they know that. But at the end of the day, because of budget and time constraints, we can't do that. So it's like, okay, you're stuck with like a very relatively limited choices, and they're trying to be as creative as possible, and they overcooked and completely burnt the kitchen down for split three. I'm fairly certain they're also like the fact that Jat was tweeting back in week 3 that Cloud9 can still finish first when the rulebook says literally they cannot. And then there's like a secret rulebook that comes out that says, well, technically this one takes precedent over the other technical rulebook. And it's like, why is there a secret rulebook? And why is it a format where our top teams cannot meet? There's a possibility of our top teams not meeting. Like, why do you bank on a format that requires upsets? Sure, they said we ran simulations in like 95% of situations, or I think it was like 85% of situations you get an upset. And like you'll get really good matchups. We got one of the 15% of the situations where we don't get our top teams playing. They didn't play the entire split. Like, come on. The last time they played was before like EWZ. The last time they played a best of was literally finals of last. Like, I mean, come on. Just get us a split. Get us a format that guarantees. Yeah, they can do better. They will do better. I'm confident. I think that's something that they'll. There's no way they keep it this way. There's 0% chance. There's 0% chance.
I didn't think
refuse to believe it.
I didn't think the Valorant formats would be like actually a pipe dream for me in LTA.
What is the Valorant format? I have no idea what it is.
Okay, so obviously the caveat to is they have 12 teams, so they have to divide them equally by 10, 11. Either way, one team has like I think it's like 5, another has 6, maybe 12. I cannot remember, but basically, so split one. They have a giant like bracket. It's just like bracket like a doubly limb bracket for seeding to their first international event, which is like similar to what First Stand is. And then split one is giant like 2 group stages, Alpha and Omega, split evenly between like the seedings and how you performed in the Split 1 playoffs, and then top three, top four teams from each group go into a double lead in playoffs, and like it's the exact same both splits. The only caveat with Valorant is they have championship points, which did not go well, not go down well in the Valorant community.
I wouldn't be upset if Split 1 was a situation where, like, we still have the same format, and the 4 teams that get to go to Brazil, or technically the 4 teams that qualify because Brazil is going to come here to LA, right? Those 4 teams are top 4 teams, and they get put in their own group, and the bottom 4 teams get put in a separate group. I'm pretty sure the teams wouldn't like that because they're like, well, if I'm Dignitas, I'm going to be like, so I don't get to play any of the top teams. No one's going to watch me. If I'm Disguised, then I'm like, hey, like, maybe I was a top 4. Like, how are we supposed to break into that mold if you don't give us an opportunity? You give us like what, 2 weeks? It's decided in 3 weeks actually. Like you give us 3 weeks, and if we're out, we're out. If we have to play FlyQuest on day 1 and then have to play like so I can see why they necessarily might not want to do it because Riot cares about like viewership above all.
The thing for me is,
which I'm not saying is bad.
I want each split to have cross conference next year. If you're going to actually invest if you're going to invest in this merger, it has to be more cross conference. It has to mean something, because otherwise, like, we've only had what, just the best of 3s that we had in Split 1, and then like a couple of games now, and I'm very confident they're all going.
We're gonna have at least 4 best of 5s.
Like it will never happen, but I wish like the regular seasons could be like intertwined, so you somehow.
I don't think that's a good idea, honestly. Too much travel involved. Like too much travel involved. If we were closer, if it was Mexico, I'd be like, sure, it's like a reasonable flight. But the fact it's a whole day trip. It literally is a whole day trip.
I personally think,
I mean, getting to Sao Paulo will take them like 13, 14 hours.
Well, what you could do is have Split 1 be a giant cross conference, in the sense that you have like, so you can interchange between years. So like 1 year you'll have all the Brazilian teams come over, and like you do these giant groups split between LTA North and LTA South teams, and then you seed your teams for playoffs from there. At least then you're guaranteeing that you're going to have so many more cross conference, because you don't just want the top teams playing the top teams. You also want to see like your Disguise playing off against one of the bottom teams from LTA South. Like, I don't think cross conference play should just be locked away for the creme de la creme of both leagues.
I don't know if that's like, when you look at logistically, like you're gonna have 8 teams that all have to like rent hotels and like for what, 5 weeks? Like that's a big investment for them to do. Also, like if you heard Cloud9, like everyone was saying the reason Team Liquid won Split 1 is because they had a facility there, and everyone else was like in this hotel where they're like burning up and like the AC wasn't working. So like I think I can see a lot of logistical nightmares happening.
Absolutely, yeah.
In that situation, so I'm not too sure.
But you see how problematic it is that this merger, anyways, that we're having to go through like mental gymnastics just to try and have like a couple more games of cross-conference play.
Yeah, but anyways, enough of the format. I think we've belabored that. Let's actually talk about FlyQuest winning a championship, in an elimination phase, not in playoffs. But yeah, they won something. Yeah, FlyQuest won relatively convincingly, actually. I think Game 1, the fact that FlyQuest won that was kind of illegal. I think even 100 Thieves kind of admit, yeah, we kind of threw. Game 2, I was very impressed with how 100 Thieves played. Game 3, I thought 100 Thieves could have won that too until, well, they just kind of ran it down. And then Game 4, Quid just lost level 1. He just lost his mind. I don't know what he was doing. I think the Lee Sin pick was fine. Like, he's a good player. But he just, like, walked into 3 people after his bot lane had to burn summoners and had to run out. And then he ran into 3 people, and he was like, oh my god, I'm being pummeled by these people. I just don't know what he was thinking. Maybe pressure. Like, I don't know what happened. We can talk about the game 1 and 2, because those were the like really close ones. the Smolder game was game one, if I'm not mistaken, and then the Senna
Mm.
game was the game two. I think after game one, like after game one and two, I was like, man, 100 Thieves can really do this. I don't know if you felt that as well, but I'm like, I actually think they could do this. Like game one, they were really close. They made a mistake. Game two, they're like, we're not making mistakes. And they just crushed them. Coming into
Yeah,
game three, I was like, they're just gonna keep steamrolling them.
I thought they were gonna win. I even said it before, and I said it on our podcast last week with David that I feel like something's brewing, and they should have been 2-0 up. Honestly, like they
Yeah,
should
they should
have.
have.
And with how FlyQuest were playing, like I've consistently said that I think this team's beatable. I think this team has faltered from where they were in Split 2, where I think they're starting to return to like kind of their peak form. I don't like maybe like the split time between top laners is slowed them down a little bit. Maybe like this team has kind of plateaued in a way. Like I don't know, but I definitely thought it was cool to see 100 Thieves step up because I thought that it is either going to be like super close or 100 Thieves gets absolutely steamrolled. I'm so glad it wasn't. Like I felt like Fly in the end, like the clasp they pulled away from them. But I'm impressed with 100 Thieves
Dude,
like in that
game
game
one,
one. I know they're playing so well.
they like look. I know they threw towards the end, but if Inspired doesn't win every single smite fight on like every single objective on Otacon on like 3 different dragons, even if they throw there, they still win. It is like Herculean effort by Inspired. He refused to lose that game one. Like, I know everyone's gonna harp on like the ending, the last 2 picks that kind of lost them the game, but like the only reason FlyQuest was even able to be in that situation was because of how well Inspired played. Like this guy did not miss a smite that he needed to hit, which River, like the reason they beat Cloud9 was because River was stealing everything. River is a really good smiter. He was outsmiting us in the contracts game, like a Shopify. He was outsmiting Blabber in the Cloud9 game, and he just couldn't match up to Inspired. Inspired was just getting every smite. I legitimately think like maybe 1 or 2 smites don't go his way, and they're up 2-0. Like it was that close. It was that down to the wire. And maybe if they're up 2-0, like momentum carries them. Who knows? They don't give right. Like okay, whose idea was it to pick Rise and let Quad get Cassio, which is his favorite matchup? Like I just thought that was bad. Also, the Nefiri pick. Like I know draft wasn't the issue that game, but like draft was an issue.
And wasn't this in the theory that like has she been buffed recently?
No, she's been nerfed. I mean, not recently, but yeah, Nefiri is not good.
No.
Maybe you can argue with like, yeah, go ahead.
Whenever I see Quad on Cassio, it's like how are we letting him get to the stage, especially with Rise, where it's like such a favored matchup for Cassio as well. Like we've seen him dominate at this matchup in the past, and we're letting it get to that stage.
Maybe ego. Maybe Quid's like, dude,
I
we're
promise
just
you,
so much
teams
better.
have
Like
too
we're just
much
playing
ego.
better.
They have too much ego. Like even if our draft was, I thought pretty good in our game 5. Like the fact that you're letting like S tier picks go the other way is like there's definitely ego involved in that. If I'm Cloud9, I know you like we haven't been spending as much money as we have in the past. I'd break the bank for Inspired. That guy is too fucking good. Like that, like he just does not allow his team to lose. Like I know we talk about Bwipo a lot, like trying to help pull the strings. It's actually like it's Inspired. Inspired's putting that entire team on his back. And like you actually would pose the
Inspired
question,
is the best player in the West. Yeah.
right? And like you actually question like what's the strength of the team if Inspired does leave and goes elsewhere, because this guy's insane, man. And like for a long time I was like, nah, Blabber like consistently plays like in head to head, consistently plays better than him. Like I wouldn't want him. I am slowly changing my mind on that. Oh no, sorry, I have changed my mind on that. Like
Yeah.
like the guy's too good, and like he deserves every like praise he can get.
Yeah, I'm excited to see him on the world stage. Like
Me too, man.
seeing him play Dude, he gapped Beishuan. Okay, Beishuan was the worst jungler at that tournament. Let's not like he was only on BLG because he was not Wei.
I was
His
with
name was not Wei.
I
It's
was
the
with
reason
you
he.
until you said Beishan. I was like, man, come on, man.
But still, he was actually giving it to him, man. He was like, give it, yeah. Even when they played, who did they play? Gen G? Was that their first matchup? I don't remember. Or did they play AL?
AL.
Regardless, they had yeah. He still had like Tarzan is like the best jungler in the world, and he still played well. He had like some in chess. We have this concept of like a game that you play that's like the one everyone's going to remember you by. And like I thought his Sejuani game was like against BLG was a game that everyone's going to remember him by because that was probably the best Sejuani game I've ever seen. So the fact that he can put that type of performance when all the pressure's on the big stage, like I'm hoping to see more from him.
Absolutely. So the question now I have, and we can kind of like, link it into our next topic, is previewing cross conference. So David actually made a point earlier in his video about, is this the reset button for 100 Thieves because they're now going back to like an international thing, and in their series against Pain at the start, was it against Pain? I believe their first cross conference game.
Yeah, it was pain.
They had shaky moments in that series, and like you beg to differ. Like, yes, they had a phenomenal like Golden run. Like, absolutely, they deserve to be in finals. Like, probably the second best team at the moment. But has now that the finals is done, like everyone's taken a breather. Is there any like, sign of like you should worry about them? I just wanted to like kind of give that to you and to the chat as well.
I agree. Actually, I think their momentum kind of died off, and I think they're gonna have to make sure that they keep doing the things that have been good for them. I don't. I expect a worse showing from them. Luckily, they're against Pain, and Pain kind of they're not playing well. Let's just put it that way. They're not playing well.
Yeah.
So I actually like. Well, I mean, I know Red are this second seed, but I think Red are significantly better than Pain. I know they 3-0'd them. Like I think even if they play again, Red would beat them. Yeah, it's just I mean the last time one of these played Pain were up like so much gold and had Baron and everything, and like Ezreal shifted forward. Titan on Ezreal shifted forward and lost the game, and like then the momentum swift and they lost the game. But like I don't think they should underestimate them. I think even for Shopify, like we shouldn't underestimate Red, but I'm not necessarily worried. The one team I think can do damage can beat like I think they legitimately can beat FlyQuest without Bwipo. I think they can beat 100 Thieves, and I think they can beat Shopify. Is Vivo. Like they're a great team. This is the Coach Seal, who previously coached on Mad Lions. Also, Trimby's on there. Like some really, really good players. This team's scary.
The only thing I'll ever say about like a Brazilian team is it always looks nice, like the presentation, but then like how do you like stick the landing? And a lot of the time the Brazilian teams don't stick the landing, and we'll
They did it last year.
We'll have to. I'll see it. I'll believe being in a best of 5. Like yeah, on a best of 1, and like any given day, yeah, like
it wasn't best of 1. It was best of 3 last year. They did it last year
against the North American team.
Who did they beat? Oh no, it was Lions, and then they beat Lions. So like, Lions beat 100, and then Pain beat Lion.
Right.
I guess back then they were called R7. Whatever. Like they made it out of groups last year. I legitimately think, like Furia were one play away from knocking out G2. Like, or I guess beating G2. I think this Vivo team is better than the Furia team that we sent to MSI and EWC. And hey, technically they beat Cloud9, so they did it this year as well at EWC. Obviously there's like, asterisks with that one, but they're close. They're definitely close. So I don't want to underestimate Vivo, but like I don't really hold the other two teams very highly. And I think for 100 Thieves, it's good that they got to play Pain and not red because I think they're going to show a lower level of performance. And I hope that after they play red, they're going to be able to level back up. I also want to touch upon Shopify. So we have a weekly vlog and it came out. And the last 3 minutes, if you haven't watched it, I implore you to watch the last 3 minutes because it goes over like after we lost to 100 Thieves, they kind of just talked about. Well, first, Palafox said, "Hey guys, this might be the last time we play with each other. We are not bringing the intensity that we have this entire time in scrims. We haven't had that in scrims in the past few weeks, and we can see it. Like the intensity drop off from when we beat Cloud9 to now is like very very different, and like we shouldn't let that happen. And it's showing on stage. And you know, Demonte talked a lot, but then Revan, he said, "Look, we've been working for this for the past 8 months, and if we don't make it to Worlds, like everything we did was for nothing. It doesn't matter if we get third, seventh, or eighth, right? We have to make it to Worlds, and it's one thing if FlyQuest is better than us, that's one thing because FlyQuest are a legitimately good team. But if we're worse than 100 Thieves, that's embarrassing because they're not a good team, and we know we're better. So if we lose to them, so like there's a lot of pressure on these teams. And he's saying like, you guys aren't rookies. You guys have played for a very long time. You should expect this from yourselves. And maybe it's like part of just motivating them. And obviously they just lost in like an embarrassing fashion. They talked a little bit about like the things that they were just kind of like trolling. Which even when I think I did my co-stream of it or my live viewing, and I was just like, what are we doing? Like this is not what we normally do. So I can see why they were very frustrated. He even mentioned like after we lost to FlyQuest, I was happy because we played well. They were just better. But the way we played against 100 Thieves is unacceptable. We've been working for 8 months and then we showed this type of performance. And I think that like fire being lit under these players is something that they just need. And I'm really looking forward to that rematch. And I'd be very, very remiss and very saddened if one of our teams gets upset. Because I really want that FlyQuest versus Shopify rematch, 100 Thieves versus Shopify rematch. And I really want to see a Shopify that's clicking and 100 Thieves is clicking. I don't want 100 Thieves to choke. I don't want Shopify to choke. I want to see like really good League of Legends from these two teams because like we've seen it. We've seen really good League of Legends from both these teams. And I'm just really hoping for that matchup. And if we lose, whatever, they were better. But like I don't want to go out like choking. It just sucks.
I call that the Cloud9 effect, where like, with, and I've noticed this for a while with teams that have like the core of like Contracts, Palafox, previously like the NRG core. Whenever I feel like they get to a certain thing, it feels like they then just the breaks come like they like everything just seems to like they don't care. Not that I don't care, but it like that's the impression you kind of get. Like the pressure's off, and they don't want to push to that next stage. It happened exactly when they beat G2 and like you became this like actual decent international team. Yes, you got 3-0'd by Weber, but okay, the world finalists. It feels like with like those specific players that once you hit a certain peak, you then don't want to push to that next level. It kind of feels like you want to coast at this level. Well, I'm sorry, if you don't step up, you're gonna get 3-0 of 100 Thieves. Like it's gonna happen again, and then you're gonna miss your chance. Well, this is your best chance to make Worlds because I do believe TL are gonna come back next year. I do believe C9 are come back here, even though we've had 2 years of choking ourselves. I still feel that we're gonna come back in with a stronger program that is gonna rival whoever picks up like the 100 Thieves lineup or the Shopify lineup, because then, like, it's not like if not now, when, because like there is an expectation to win the championship, but I think everyone is looking at this split now, like from when we were in it, from TL, 100 Thieves, Shopify's like, man, that second seed was ours. Every team's looking at it, like all these teams are beatable, all these teams are very good. Like we just need to show up on the day.
Yeah, I mean I think it's the same thing for 100 Thieves as well. Like every time you've gone to a big stage, you've choked. You choked at Worlds. You choked at finals last year. Like you can't you can't do this again, right? And if they don't show a good showing against Pain, like Pain have some legitimately good players. Weiser is a really good player. Titan is a really good player. Like they have great players on their teams. They're just not a very good team altogether.
I
So
am confident
I'm
in both your
hoping that
teams, so
we,
to be fair. Like, for this initial stage, unless you're going to be having traveling fans like in the studio, which I highly doubt, you're going to be on home soil, you're going to be comfortable. Same arena you've been in all year. Um, this isn't where I'd be worrying for 100 Ps. I'd be worrying for 100 Ps when if they played Vivo in a packed out arena in Texas where you're going to have thousands of Brazilian fans cheering, because that
yeah.
isn't going to be the home crowd advantage you think you have in that third place game.
Yeah, I would not be surprised if Brazilian fans took over, to be
And the
honest.
thing is,
But
if you made it, um, it'd be funny if you made it, FlyQuest lost, and then you have now the Brazilian buff because you have Seos.
I see. I mean, Whippo also like I don't know if you see, but he like he's done a few like interviews in Portuguese. Like I think his mother is Brazilian, so like he does have some connections as well. His Portuguese is pretty cute.
I
I'll be
promise you,
honest.
I
Like
don't think he's
even I
gonna
listen
have.
to it, I'm like, oh, that's
I
cute.
don't think he's gonna have many fans in Texas, buddy.
Oh, true. After all,
So
I don't think he's gonna.
there'll be a lot of booze. Trust me.
I'm excited. I'm gonna be there. I know Martin's unable to be there, but I'm gonna be there. So if you're watching, you want to hang out, like you'll find me. I'll have a big sign. I'll be doing some like content stuff. If not, just like go to the Discord. I might actually just make it okay, like just during this finals. If you want to meet me to at me, um, maybe we can make that happen. But in general, on the server, you shouldn't at people. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for that. But yeah, I think okay. Let's get to the matchups. Shopify is likely to beat Red. I'm not necessarily worried about Red. I think in general, our macro and our team fighting, our like objective setups are all better, and our individual players are better. Like again, like I know they have like their top laner, for example, is good, but I trust Bwipo in contracts. So same thing for the shop for the 100 Thief series. I just think they're overall like just better, and they're way better at team fighting. The series that I'm worried about is actually Vivu playing against FlyQuest with a sub top laner. I don't know. Are you worried at all? I know you haven't really watched much LTA South or any. I'm not sure how much you've watched actually.
Well, I think if FlyQuest can get through that game one, that'd be fine. Game one, game two is where you're going to be really like tested because Gakkos has only played 2 games of Rumble, so like Viva can either ban it out or take the Rumble for themselves, or allow him to have the one game. I wouldn't even allow him to have the one game. Make him feel as uncomfortable as possible because now you're gonna have to show a champion pool, and we don't really know what champion pool he's got.
We kind of do. Here's the thing. He likely plays like all the fighter like hands like Jax and Fiora and like these players. Like that's what he was brought for. You can scout his solo queue. The other point, normally FlyQuest split scrims between Gakkos and Bwipo, right? We know this is public. Everybody knows this. Do they stop splitting scrims for the next couple weeks because Bwipo is benched, or do they keep staying the way that they were doing? And or like, do they try to make? That's another thing. Like when you think of the punishment, like this is going to affect the way they practice, which is going to affect even if Bwipo comes back. It's going to affect. You don't have many days of practice left. Like that is a factor to consider. It's not like in basketball where if a player is suspended, he still gets to play in your scrims because you have 11, 12, 13 players at all times who are
Yep.
playing.
And like, how do you approach it? So like, yes, he can play the matchups, but you could also just put him on very, very comfortable tank duty. Like, you could see a sign in all gameplay. Like, we don't know what Fly's gonna cook up. Do they just?
Let me ask you a question.
Okay.
Do you want to see Sniper on Scion and Ornn duty?
Gakkos, you mean?
No, Sniper.
Sniper.
Especially last year. Would you want to see Sniper playing those matchups?
Definitely not. No.
I think it's the same for Gakkos. Like, just look at the guy's soak. You look at what people are saying. He's just a mechanical player. Don't put him on tanks. He'll be horrible.
Teams have done
That's
that in the past.
my
And, like,
understanding.
I understand why teams do it, but I agree with you that just let the player play what's comfortable. Play whatever he wants. Like, really, like, genuinely, like, just let him play what he wants. Make him feel as comfortable as possible. If he genuinely wants to sit there and just play tank duty, like, all serious, and let him do it. But I definitely, like I said, I haven't watched LTA Soul this year, outside of like watching like some lab stuff before our series against them. So like I can't tell you if Vivo was going
Loud
to
pulled the Cloud9, man. They pulled the Cloud9 and lost to Red 3-2 as well. It was, yeah, poor
painful.
Griffin. I felt bad for him. He had a bad series.
Mm. Um, and the thing is, I don't know. I don't think this matters too much for Vivo because I don't feel like they're going to Texas anyways, so they're gonna have it's gonna be like a refresh for them. Like, yes, they may be down if they lose to FlyQuest, but you're gonna be refreshed with like that crowd, big venue, so you still have something to look forward to. And I think they're gonna be refreshed, and you're not playing FlyQuest again. Like, you're playing teams that are like much worse than them, so they should really feel confident either way. So
I kind of disagree. I think if you're FlyQuest, if you're Vivo, and you lose to FlyQuest with a sub top laner, you are just mental booming. Like, you're just like, okay, they're a good team, but like, we're also a good team, and they don't even have their starter in. Like, come, this guy has played 2 professional League of Legends matches. If we can't win these, like, why are we even here? We're here to win a championship, and like, we're not even close.
yeah, because you're assuming like the level of like the top 3, top 4 would probably beat FlyQuest with an entire series of a top laner. Like, could you imagine like Phantos, Dokler, Impact, Pudge against Gatkos for an entire series? That would be an absolute nightmare for him. Um, so yeah, I don't sorry, David pinged. I don't know. Oh. Yeah. I still think FlyQuest win. I think it'd be scrappy. It'd be 3-2, 3-1. It'd be nice if they can do the upset. It'd be nice like, for Vivo. Like, I think it'd be I as a FlyQuest hater at the moment, I really want to see Vivo pull the upset. As for the other two
Just so
series,
you know,
I
when
think
you switch to your Discord, we can actually see your Discord, like the cameras.
yeah, yeah, because I panned to like David's Discord quickly because he was asking me to like put my take in the
Okay,
channel.
just letting you know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they have a legitimate shot. Now, am I going to predict them? No, maybe. I don't know. I'm going to say my prediction. I'm not going to predict this one, but it's really tough. If I had to predict, I'd probably say Vivo 3-2.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be very difficult for FlyQuest for Geckos. Like, I think it's going to be a lot of frustration with their players. Like, if I'm Quad, I'm probably really pissed right now.
Yeah.
If I'm Masu, if I'm Lucio, I'm like, you can't be like, why would you do this to us? Like, why would you do this to us? And like, why, first of all, like, why do you think that way? Like, what the hell? And then second of all, like, yeah, that's just my opinion. We can move on to Q&A. I think we only have one question that we didn't address.
Yeah.
Because we kind of talked about the other questions. Jay says, what do you think the most likely outcome of the Team Liquid offseason will be? My friends and I are convinced that APA should switch to top lane, where his mediocre mid hands would shine and his macro
That
could dominate the
went south
league.
real quickly.
I know. Even more so if Impact stays as a coach. What are your thoughts? Okay. I don't think APA is switching to top lane. I'll say that much. Ooh, what do I think? I think I've been pushing for this roster, honestly, or not pushing, but I've been liking this roster more and more. Assuming Blabber stays on Cloud9, I'm going to continue with that assumption. I think you bring in Castle, you bring in Griffin from Loud, you bring it, you try to get what's his name, Quid. So you have Castle. Your two imports are Castle and Quid. You have Griffin in the jungle, and then you keep Yon and Core JJ. That's what I would do. Is that the most likely? I don't know. Is it most likely? I think the most likely is a coaching change.
Yeah.
And a top lane change. Those are the two that I think are most likely.
I think top lane change and do you think it may just be a top lane change in the coach?
Those are the most likely. I don't think that's the only thing that's going to happen, but I think that's the most likely. Like when Jay is talking about the APA switching, like should he switch to top lane? I don't think so. I think he's fine in mid lane. He just needs to like fix his hands issue and like learn a little bit more. I think his macro like was bad, but I think he can improve. I don't think he should switch, in my personal opinion. But like, what is the most likely? I think top lane and coaching change are most likely.
If I'm TL, and I know we've already got a video on this. If people do want to check that out, I'll probably like link it in the description or something, or link it anyways. But yeah, if you can get Castle a green card, I really would like to see that Quid and Castle introduction into the team. I think that would work really well. This Quid is...
He doesn't need a green card. Just get rid of Yuji.
I would like to see him get another crack at it. But I could because I had made this prediction
or get him a green card. Whatever, yeah.
I made this prediction last week. I think if Blabber leaves, I think he's a one career man. Like one all career. But if you have Blabber sitting around not doing anything, and the UG is still not working out with the team, then maybe that's when you then decide to bring in Blabber. But it's just I can't see Blabber on any other team. Maybe it's just because he's been here too long. He's a C9 legend and all that jazz. But I just can't foresee. I can't foresee Blabber going TL.
If he does, okay, if Blabber leaves Cloud9, I think his most likely spot is Team Liquid, not the new team that might come. I mean, maybe if FlyQuest, Inspired, decides to go to EU, sure, but I think his most likely spot, if he leaves Cloud9, which I don't think is going to happen, is Team Liquid. Because then he would get to play with Core DJ.
Yeah. And also the head coach. I do think TL are going to have a new head coach. Maybe an entire new coaching staff. But potentially keep him reign over, but I'm not entirely sure they keep. Is it Swiftler?
Yeah, I don't know if they're keeping Swiffer.
Swiffer, yes. I could see Spawn Swiffer going, and you keep reign over on, because I do think he's a good piece to your team as an assistant coach. He's always been an excellent assistant coach, in my opinion. I don't think he should be going to head coach anytime soon unless he feels he's now ready for it, because at the time he left or stepped down from C9. I don't think he was probably ready for that role just yet. Maybe he wants to take a crack at it now, who knows? But I don't think we'll be saying APA top anytime soon. I just feel like you're putting square pegs in round holes just to have APA still on the roster.
I mean, maybe if Quid ends up going to Shopify or even FlyQuest or any other team, I can see APA staying. Right, he's still on contract until the end of next year. I don't necessarily think our mid pool is like crazy strong. Like unless you're bringing in a Korean, right? I think Darkwings was good, but I think APA is probably the best native right now. Maybe you could argue like Palfox when he's on versus when he's off. But yeah, I don't think he's going top anytime soon.
And I guess like I feel for TL it's quid or bust in terms of making a change in that department. I think if you don't get quid, you stick with APA.
What if you can get Saint?
I just don't trust his I just don't trust his mental. Like in like with because now you're going into a high pressure team, and he's already like spoken himself about like dealing with like all these things, and like how easily like he can be tilted and stuff like that. And I feel like the second thing, I feel like when it'll be going good, it'll be going great for them, but maybe the environment of like you have a lot of Korean infrastructure that he could help him like
Yeah,
pain
Quadri
those
Rain
nerves.
over Dodo, yeah.
Right. So maybe,
Impact if he decides
but
to
then he could also
coach.
be a complete loose cannon, and he's trying to take take it for himself and kills the vibes of the team.
I mean, look, if he was able to stay relatively consistent on Lion when they finished 7th twice or 3 times, yeah, 3 times. Like I can see him like standing up to the environment that's in Team Liquid.
Yeah, I don't think they'll go for Saint. Maybe I'm wrong, but if I had to
Yeah.
see, it'd be Quid 1. I think that in my likelihood, like it'd be Quid 1, APA 2, Saint 3.
I will say, I think so. I actually agree with you, but I will say I would be surprised if Yuji's on the roster next year. Like this guy is a jungler, the worst jungler in the league, and he takes an import slot. Can't do it. Now, maybe it's because of the environment he came in. You're like, okay, we have a clean slate. He's going to be better. I just don't see. I don't see Team Liquid willing to invest to build UG up. They brought him in as a band aid. They didn't bring him in at the beginning of the year. They're like, we're going to invest in this rookie.
Oh yeah, that's
And
he was
again,
the
they
only
had a
one
very different
available.
project.
He was the only one really like
What?
available. He was the only one really like available to be brought in.
Griffin was available, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe Griffin said no. Maybe they preferred UG. I don't know.
Mm. I think like UG did have a lot of hype coming in.
He did. But again, our jungle pool is really strong.
Yeah.
Like, sure, River's gone, but you still have contracts. River, you had contracts, River, Inspired, and Blabber. That's your top four. Then you had Audi, who is really good. And that's like already 5 really, really good junglers. Like he's already bottom 3. Shaden played better than him. And then you had XU, who like maybe split 2. You can argue X like he outperformed XU, but that puts you at 7th. And then split 3, XU definitely played better. So it's like,
yeah.
At least his last series, XU played better. Yeah. So it's difficult. I wouldn't be surprised if they get rid of him, especially because he's an import. Like if he wasn't an import, I'd say I understand, but he is, so it's a little difficult to keep him.
I agree.
All right, I think that's it. You got any shoutouts for us or anything else you wanted to touch on before we stop?
Uh, Generally, like just shout like everyone that's subscribing. Like we're up to 74, 75 at the moment. Like small numbers, of course, but like I generally are
Yeah.
appreciative of every single person that has subscribed. Like we do have high aspirations for this podcast, and like we're putting in the work now that will like pay off in the future. Like we do have aspirations of one day doing like a live show of this, like in person, have people like they can actually interact with us, meet and greets. Like that's like long term future stuff, but like I appreciate the people that are like around now that are supportive each and every week. Thank you to everyone that always submits questions. And like we're generally building a community. Like it is slow, and that's to be expected, but we're generally like building something that I think will be. And that shout out to Shops because she followed our TikTok account earlier, and like we could tell we are like reaching higher places in the community. So like thank you to everyone that does like follow us.
Yeah, my shout out is actually to everyone who's on the Discord. Thanks to everyone who's joining. It really does place a home, like a hub where everyone can just like kind of interact. And I know it's like relatively slow throughout the week, but it's just nice to have a place where you can just see people, joining a Discord and being there and like chatting. Even if it's not us, like they're just chatting within each other. It's nice. It's really cool to see. And for myself, I have a Seiyus interview coming out tomorrow. And then I think that's all I have. I mean, again, I'm gonna be out there in Texas, and I hope to see every one of you that's planning on going. Just come say hi. I'm gonna be shooting some TikToks, like league related content. If you want to be in it, it'll be awesome. Shouldn't take you more than like a minute or two. Maybe I can even preview some of it with y'all because y'all are cool. But yeah, that's my shoutouts.
Yeah. And maybe like another announcement while we're here. While Cloud will be in person, I plan to, for everyone that's gonna be watching at home and like here with us now, I plan to be live viewing the finals. I've already got like the graphics all set up. Gonna have to change one of the teams that was on the graphics, but actually, what I'll do is I'll give people a little teaser of like what I was cooking up, and you can see my pain as the Cloud9 people appear on the screen. So yeah, that's what I'm cooking up. That's gonna be like the setup we're gonna have. So yeah, barring like any last minute changes, I'll definitely be live viewing that finals. Maybe whoever like is not gonna be attending in person, we can have people in like a watch party. Like just have people in the call, good vibes and stuff.
Yeah, and we'll have a lot. We'll have an episode right after the finals. It might not be
Yeah.
right after because I'm going to be doing interviews and then I have to get back to the hotel and like I still haven't even booked a hotel. I have to get back to the hotel, but yeah, after like on the day of, we will have an LTA report, finals edition. So
Yeah.
look forward to that.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, that's it for announcements.